everybody. This is Bob from Music Store Live, and I have the great pleasure today to speak with Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana, how are you today?
I'm really, really grateful. It's a wonderful thing to own and really, really cherish. I believe that when you're in touch with gratitude, things happen a lot clearer and faster for you, and you're able to be with consistency and diligence, with strength and grace. I think most human beings, we require strength and grace, power and gentleness.
I could not.
So gratitude is important to me.
Well, that's good. Today's a great day to feel gratitude. We're actually speaking today on Memorial Day, so I'd say that's very fitting. In the spirit of gratitude, I wanted to start our conversation talking about your relationship with Paul Reed Smith and his company and his guitars, specifically drawing on the spirit of gratitude. I would imagine that from the very beginning of your relationship together, you both must feel quite a bit of gratitude, one for the other. And I wanted to ask you about the very first time that you met Paul. He comes to you, or how you came to know each other, how you came to find his guitars, and what it was about him or the guitar that maybe clicked for you or jumped up and grabbed you by the boo-boo and made you say, I got to play one of these. I really dig this guitar.
Yeah, it was in Baltimore, probably around 78, 79, and there's something really powerful about Paul, and that something is called his passion for this vision that he had, and has and is. I don't believe that ever in his life he ever hesitated to believe that he could be right there with Gibson and Fender, which were those two iconic guitars.
Mm-hmm.
He really believes in a tangible way in his vision, and I'm very honored and grateful that he invited me to it. And when I played his guitar, it sounded like a tenor saxophone for me. It just had what I was playing at that time, a Yamaha, and my guitar was a lot more thinner, more like a soprano, So as soon as I plugged in his guitar, and he told me that he was going to ask this gentleman who plays with heart, because he had one of the first ones, and
oh, right.
He said he was going to ask him to send it to me for a couple of days. He says, but you can't keep it, that's his guitar, and I'll make you one just like that if you like it. So sure enough, I plugged it in, and it had more lower overtones.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, dang, So that was right there, I think that the power of him believing that it was worth it to him to call his friend from heart and ask him if he can borrow that guitar that he made for him so I can play it and try it out. And that was it. He hooked me with that, and I'm really grateful that he did.
Yeah, that's cool. We've met Paul a few times. We work quite a bit together, and we've been lucky enough to have him up to our studio, and we've been down to his place in Maryland to hang out a few times. And I think passion is probably the best word to sum up his approach. He's obviously a very driven individual, very passionate individual, and like you said, he obviously has a vision that he's really after, which is not so much unlike yourself. When you read interviews with Carlos Santana and you read about Carlos Santana's guitar playing and his sound and stuff, everybody always is going to bring up your kind of quest for your tone and to find your voice. And one of the things I've always appreciated so much about your playing is it doesn't take me usually longer than one note, maybe two notes, to know that it's you. if I tune in somewhere or if somebody drops the needle on a record, I know it's you right in the beginning. And I also know probably 3 or 4 notes in if it's somebody else who's kind of trying to sound like you. But so for a lot of guitar players that are always trying to craft their sound, they're trying to find their voice, and so much of that has to do with finding the right guitar for them, finding the right amp. I think a lot of guitar players would love to hear you say a word or two just about your own personal discovery of finding your sound and chasing it down and making it your own.
Thank you for that. I invite the musicians who want to discover their own identity, their sound, their fingerprints, like you and Paul, Les Paul said, that's nice, kid, but will your mother recognize you in the radio? And I think it was Les Paul who said that, because when he heard of many guitar players, and that's the first thing that he would say. That's nice, kid, but will your parents recognize you in the radio when it's you?
Uh-huh.
Now, if you want to be recognized by your parents or people who love you or even yourself, you have to get rid of the pedals.
Oh, that was... I'm with you there.
You have to get rid of the pedals because as soon as you put pedals on the floor, and a lot of them, you're going to sound like, unless you want to sound like Marcel, where it's just a lot of makeup and kind of like almost like a clown, then and if you accept that, then that's what it is for you,
Uh-huh.
The only pedal that Stevie Ray or Jimi Hendrix used was basically either a wah-wah pedal or something to make the strats sustain a little bit more, which is I forget what it's called right now.
Oh, yeah. I like that fuzz
once
pedal.
you use a lot of pedals, it's like you're masking the beauty. First of all, you don't have to look for your identity. You were born with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing that a musician needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go something. You don't have to looking for something that it was already given to you. It's in the center of your next breath in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, they go all the way around to negate that and think that I want to sound like somebody else, or I want to sound like, we all take. I'm going to quote Mr. Tony Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if you take from one person, it's called stealing. If you take from many, it's called research. So it's okay for you to accept your own tone, but then you want to grab voicings, phrasing, and the way someone visits something. That's a good word to describe it.
Mm.
Like, for example, if I was a singer, I would need to listen to only 2 people for a while.
Mm.
And that's Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Because everything comes from them.
Mm-hmm.
They invented the shoe. Everybody else creates a style. If I want to become a guitar player and I want to play with a lot of feeling,
mm-hmm.
well, then I'm going to listen to Otis Rush and Buddy Guy and Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King,
mm-hmm.
all them dudes, and then
yeah.
Django Reinhardt for dexterity and velocity,
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you want to listen to Paganini if you want to play like Yngwie Malmsteen or the cats who like to play fast.
Yeah.
However, there's a voice of reason with clarity that Wayne Shorter gives. Wayne Shorter said, "You have to think faster to play slower, and you have to think slower to play faster."
Mm-hmm.
All those things that I'm saying, they're paths for a musician to, because you want to create longevity for yourself, and you want to create a situation that you're always welcome, and you become memorable. If your sound is not right, then it's like you make the wrong impression in the first visit in somebody's house, they won't welcome you no more.
Mm.
And that's really what it's about, man. It's are you welcome in people's hearts around the globe?
I think that's wonderful. It's a wonderful bit of wisdom to chew on for a lot of guitar players, especially this goes out to all you guys with, pedal boards that are twice the size of your car. I think a lot of people do that song and dance where they get out there into the world and they start buying up lots and lots of pedals. And I'm not going to say that they're not right for everyone, but I will say that my favorite players typically play with a guitar and an amplifier, and they find the shortest possible route to the end of their tone, And I think
you are the sound. That's you are the sound. I mean, one of the most gorgeous tones is Wes Montgomery. No pedals there.
Yeah.
He is the sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got a hell of a sound, and he played, I think, a few different styles of amps. I feel like a lot of guys that would even get hung up saying, you can only play a tube amp. I feel like Wes is known for even playing one of the earlier solid state amps and making that thing sing. So it doesn't matter, like just more to your point. It's there with you when you start out, and you don't really need to go very far to find it. You just need to kind of keep realizing that it's there, and you just have to work with it. Now, in terms of kind of the same topic here, just talking about amps and tone, you got that Mesa King Snake amp. This is a tribute amp that is kind of coming out as largely a tribute to your sound of the 70s. We don't have one of these in stock yet, but we are a Mesa dealer, and we're actually all looking forward to getting one of these things and firing it up and playing into it and hearing it. But would you tell people just a little bit about your experience with Mesa and this amp kind of coming around?
Sure, it's a wonderful voice. It's everything has its own fingerprints. Marshalls and
mm-hmm.
Fenders and Gibson's amplifiers, Silvertones. They all have their own identity and tone. The Mesa amplifier that my brother turned me on to it because he had the first one, and when I played it, I was like, oh, he goes, it's okay, you can take it. He says, I'll get another one. He says, but Randy told me that that you were going to really enjoy it, and I recorded with it in '73 a lot,
mm-hmm.
and for some reason, I kind of lost track of it. I found something else. I still play, boogie amplifiers, but it was last year, really early last year, where somebody sent me a video of Santana in Japan in 1973, and as soon as I heard that sound, and then the camera got close to the amplifier, and I was like, oh, damn, I miss my friend. What a sound. So I started asking, hey, anybody knows what that is? He says, oh, yeah, it's the storage, man. We haven't seen that in years. I says, well, get it out and take it to Randy and see if he can take the rust out of it. Sure enough, as soon as I plugged it in, it's just, if you're a violinist, it's like having a humongous, long bow, string bow. You can sustain forever, and the notes are very, the way they pop when you hit them, because it moves, it's important that some people may like that, because it's all about personal preferences. That's a good one. Some people, they have a personal preference, and they go through laptops now. They don't even have an amplifier.
Right.
And for me, it's like some people have horn synthesizers, and they swear, oh man, they sound just like Tower of Power. They sound like Earth, Wind and Fire. And I go, you're fooling yourself, man. It don't sound nothing like Earth, Wind and Fire,
not
or
quite.
nothing like Tower of Power. And some people deceive themselves, man, to think that Linn drums or this or that they call it virtual for a reason.
Right.
Virtual is not real. Real is real.
Yeah, real's pretty real.
The only virtual I know is a guy who went to school with me, Virtual Jones. But I don't. As soon as I hear virtual, I'm like, no, dude, that ain't it, man. Give me a real piano or a real flute.
Sure.
Now, flute players and cello players have gotten closer than anything that I know since the early 70s to right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear real strings, synthesizers, if you put some string synthesizers with a couple of real string players, it fools you, and flute players. But I don't know anything that sounds like a virtual, whether it's a guitar or this or that, or an amplifier.
Yeah.
So if you want to get that tone, that Stevie Ray tone, that is not in the pedal.
Yeah.
They might say, we got a pedal that makes you sound like Jimi Hendrix, or well, then it means you have a photograph, you have a Polaroid shot. But see, Polaroids are really flat and thin once you really look at it.
Yeah.
And there was nothing flat and thin about Stevie Ray's tone or Jimi Hendrix tone.
No, definitely not.
So just because you have a Polaroid shot, it doesn't mean you have him.
That's a good way to. That's a good reminder for a lot of folks out there. I think a lot of people. It depends on where you are with music and how all-consuming your playing is for you in your life. And what stage of the game you are for musicians. And of course, now there's a huge industry built around amps and pedals that obviously we're a big part of, is trying to help people find their sound and stuff like that. And but that's an interesting way to put it. It's a photograph. So anybody out there listening can keep that in mind when you think you're going to get the next pedal that's going to turn you into Jimi Hendrix. Well, it's like if there was a pedal that would turn us all into Jimi Hendrix, we'd all be Jimi Hendrix by now.
Exactly.
Hey, so what? I just want to let you talk for just a minute about the new album. I know you're out on the road right now with Rod Stewart doing some dates, which has got to be a lot of fun, I would imagine. And then
yes, it really, really is. I love his audience. This is a new audience for us.
And then pretty soon, in like the next week, you're going to shift gears and go out and start doing the Corazon tour?
Yeah.
So I know you've been really busy promoting the album. So what was the impetus for making this album, and what is the highlights for you in seeing it all come together?
It's always creating. I think the first time that I witnessed a celebration where a lot of kids, they have this glee in is when you have a birthday, and some parents can afford it to buy a piñata,
Mm-hmm.
And the kids come around because it's your birthday, and your mom buys a beautiful piñata. It looks like Donald Duck or George Bush or something,
Mm-hmm.
And then you beat it, and when you hit it, some candy comes out, and all the kids scream with glee to go get the candy. They all jump on the floor to go get the candy. Well, to me, it's like that, the Supernatural, Abraxas, and this album, they're like big piñatas, when the candy is the songs and the players. I love sharing music with many, many people. So we invited Gloria Estefan, Nina Pastori, Soledad, Lila Downs, Miguel, Pitbull. So and the thing to do is like, just because you invite people, it doesn't mean that it's going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is another thing that I like to share with people besides the music. What is the key? What is the real so-called Lipsman test, and for you to describe to people, even without saying it, that you are successful? It's if you're happy.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people have a lot of zeros to the right. Donald Sterling,
Sure.
Many many, many zeros to the right, but they're poor on the left because they're not happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy because I'm successful at complimenting whatever gets in front of me, and if I don't feel it, then I won't do it. You know, but whether it's Andrea Bocelli or Lady Gaga or, you know, Wayne Shorter or Buddy Guy, you know, it's important for me to be present in the moment, in the room, and have serious, ardent willingness to compliment what gets in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's the whole thing about being successful, man, is can you compliment, you know, can I play with Kiss? Yeah. You know, will they play with me? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know if they want to. But if do I want to play with them? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, I like the way they rock.
Uh-huh.
Can I play with Alice Cooper? Yeah. You know, because all of them have the same thing, man. It's whether it's theater rock, or this rock, or that rock, or whatever, or arena rock. The labels don't matter, man. What matters is, will it stay? And obviously, Kiss is extremely important at staying power. They've been doing this since 72, 73, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important, you know, to really be honest, genuine, honest, sincere, true, for real, and authentic when you play, you know? And so, therefore, we can go on tour with Rod Stewart, or Kiss, or Lady Gaga, or you know, Justin Bieber, or Andrea Bocelli, you know, because they're all artists in their own way, in their own field, you know, and very successful, I may add, you know. So for me, I learned to put things aside and say, man, well, you know, listen to it, and if a time and place would come to do something with either Metallica or Kiss or, you know, or London Symphony, you know, this is still music, you know. And would you have two things to make it happen: is willingness to allow, and allow willingness to become like what Bruce Lee said. Become like water, you know, and a water becomes a cloud or an ocean or a tea, you know, or a bathtub or a lake, you know, and can you shapeshift?
Yeah.
You know, and compliment. You know, I don't have a problem playing with Tony Bennett, you know. I know how to turn it down, and I know how to listen to, and I know what to do and what not to do, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that's really about a musician, because if you're a one-trick pony and you only, well, I don't do windows. Dang, man, the whole world is just one big window. What do you mean you don't do windows, you know?
I don't do windows. Nice. Oh man, that's wonderful. That's wonderful stuff. Well, I wish you all the best success with the new album. I hope your tour just treats you wonderfully. And you know, looking at some of the dates you're playing, it looks like you have a very fun stretch of shows coming up, and I really hope that they're just very fulfilling for you. And I wish you all the best with the new album. And I wish you very much happiness with it as well. I'll leave you with one last question, if I could, which is an open-ended question, because I don't get to wake up every Memorial Day and have a phone call with Carlos Santana about music.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
So, Carlos, I want to ask you one question, and I want to ask you, what is music to Carlos Santana? What is music for you?
Music is the breath of God. Filled with life, filled with healing, filled with upliftment, transformation. It makes everything new. I don't agree with something in the Bible that says that nothing's new under the sun. Whoever wrote that was totally twisted. You know, to me, everything is new every single freaking second. Completely new and virgin, like a child's eyes. You know, I have a different perception. You know, I agree with most of it, but that one I don't agree. You know, that nothing's new under the sun. Whoever wrote that was in his mind and not in his heart. Not everything in the Bible is applicable, you know, to all human beings. You know, there's a lot of guilt, shame, judgment, condemning, fear, accusing. And I'm going to close it up with this. Today is Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Well, here's the good news. We don't need sacrifice. We don't need to sacrifice any more soldiers. You know, Memorial Day to me is a culmination of a lot of sacrifices that people sacrifice their lives for us to be free. Well, you can believe that if you want to. I don't. You know, I think that the opposite of sacrificing is awakening to a collective compassion.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in sacrifice anymore, man. And whether it's putting somebody on the cross or somebody has to die in the fields for me, and like, no, that's evil. You know, and evil is fear and ignorance. What's enlightenment is for us to teach in schools, like you teach ABC, 1, 2, 3, and biology and history. Teach the language of light and compassion. And then we won't need to sacrifice soldiers ever again. Peace.
Well, that's very well put.
Thank you, man. Have a good one, and thanks for doing this for Paul Reed. He is my hero, and I love visionaries.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Carlos, and we wish you a wonderful tour and all the success and happiness with all of your endeavors. Thank you very much, and we will see you around the bend.
Okay.
Take care.